Yeah, can I get a quick round, just reintroduction again? Who are we in this call, so I know who's around? Yeah. Anybody want to start?
Hello, Mohammed. Thank you for having us. I am Mohammed Al-Akhbari, the awards coordinator, Hajjah. Welcome, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, Malabari.
Hello.
Hi, Saeed.
Here is Saeed from,
Yeah.
and we have Fadl Rajah, health coordinator. We have Samah, meal assistant.
Okay, thank you.
عند محمد غالب.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Anybody else? Okay, maybe let's just start with this discussion today. So, for those who attend the training we had last Monday, we discussed thoroughly about how to use partnership assessment tools. But then, since the recording can also be accessed through everyone, so I suggest that for those who did not attend the last week's session, partnership assessment tools, can at the end of this training can access that recordings again and then listen to it thoroughly. At the same time, try to open and navigate through the Excel file that I sent as well. So today we will discuss more about what is humanitarian partnership in Save the Children, who are the partners that we're working with, what are the stages in partnership in humanitarian, and then in the end, we'll touch a little bit about the partnership assessment tools because some of you might still need to get information about that. Yeah? If that's okay, can I just hear someone or just type something here, say it's okay, and then we can move on. Great. Thanks, Sama. Fantastic, Alakwari. Okay, so just to set up the ways of working in our meeting, our training here, I would like to suggest that everyone who wants to speak up and ask questions, turn on your microphone, of course. If not, I will not be able to hear you. But like during the session, just turn it off because it can actually create some sounds that might disturb the others. So anytime you need a question, stop me. Ask me. And then we will have 1 hour until 1 hour, 1.5 hours for this session. At the end of the session, there will be a recording. I will put it in YouTube again, so it will be accessed by everyone. I think it's easier than using the SharePoint, so I will keep using that platform to share the result or the recording of the training. Yeah. So let me just share my window with you. Can somebody just quickly say if you have seen the screen that I'm sharing with you?
Okay, we see it.
Okay, great, fantastic. So maybe I said it last week, but just to remind everyone again that we do have a lot of resources in Save the Children. So Save the Children has a partnership working group. We also have humanitarian partnership working group that's specifically discussing about how to identify support. They can support the country team that currently managing emergencies or humanitarian responses, such as Yemen, that actually now been recategorized into category 1 of humanitarian crisis, meaning that we need to step up with the game that we are at the moment. meaning that we need to escalate the work we can do more with partners, meaning that there need to be some stages that we need to cut and do the shortcut, but still accountable and still acceptable by the system that we have. This is why I think it's important for everyone to understand that within the organization there are agreeable procedures that need to be discussed in different countries. So in the context of Yemen, any decision regarding to making a shortcut have to be agreed by the SMT. So this has to be discussed first. So if you need a support, talk to me about this. Do you need support of shortcut or anything about partnership? Talk to me, and I'll discuss it with either Mohammed Al-Shama or Jason Lee. And then they can discuss it with the bigger group in SMT in SANA level. Yeah. So in the system that we have Save the Children has a big system called SharePoint. It used to be called OneNote. One something, I can't remember the name anymore. Sorry, OnePoint. No, sorry. I'll get back to you again about that. Sorry about that. I forgot.
OneNet.
Yes, OneNet. You are correct. You deserve a chocolate when I go to Yemen. Okay. So in OneNet, we have a lot of resources. Yeah, we got humanitarian curriculum. And within the humanitarian curriculum, we have a specific module that's specifically discussing about how to manage partnership in humanitarian context. Currently, the one that has been released is Module A, the one that you are seeing at the moment, is the Save the Children approach to humanitarian partnerships. And this goes for all type of, all members of Save the Children. So we are now Save the Children International, but there's still a lot of other members that are part of Save the Children International that don't work closely with partners. But with this new reform about partnership reform within our organization, everyone needs to start looking on how we are working with partners. Yeah. So I'm sure it's not a new thing for everyone in this call working with partners, but just to remind everyone that there are pressure from our organization following the Grand Bargain, following the localization of aid, following the core humanitarian standards, that us as an organization, we need to work more and more and more with partners. We need to start seeing ourselves with more sustainable approach, how to build the local and national capacity to be able to take the leadership of responding to humanitarian crisis. Yeah, this is why the connection between core humanitarian standard, localization of aid, and Grand Bargain is very, very strong. And I recommend us all to access the OneNet, because there's a lot of training materials that we can access from there. Yeah. So I want to hear more. I know these are very basic questions, but maybe some of you can explain to the others, why do we work with partners humanitarian responses? Can I hear someone? Anybody wants to try? Am I alone?
Here, father saying because they have better access to the beneficiaries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they are there.
Mm-hmm.
So the international organization may one day they will leave the area.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else wants to try?
And also we can support to build capacities of the local NGOs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that summarizes a lot
And
of things. Yeah.
they are more familiar with the area and the beneficiaries.
Yeah, true.
And also there is some of the, we cannot say risk transfer, but I mean they have less risk than us.
That's debatable. I think in some cases they can actually be more risky than us, especially in the area where Save the Children cannot operate, and then only partners are able to operate, and they are actually at risk of either humanitarian access, security, and safety for this stuff. But yes, in some cases they're also less risk compared to us. Yeah, because as an international organization, we can actually be a target as well. So yeah, that's debatable, but I get your point. Anybody else wants to try?
Yes, Wawan.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Clearly.
Yeah. Why do Save the Children work in partnership with local partners and civil society organizations is that they have more access than Save the Children, and also in terms of acceptance from the community itself. So I think they have more acceptance from the community rather than international NGO in general. That's it.
That's
Also, in terms to ensure more of the sustainability for the humanitarian work within the whole country. I think we ensure sustainability when we work with the partners through capacity building for them and also for the expertise they have.
Yes, great. Thanks. I think
Yeah.
that summarized a lot of already. And then also just to remind everyone that responding to humanitarian crisis, it's also the responsibility for local and national organizations. So this is when we see like we are all responsible to make sure that the affected population will get support, right? So we're sharing the responsibilities. We are sharing the risk on providing the support to the affected population. So these are our obligations to work together with local organizations. Yeah. Everybody answered perfectly, so I will give everybody chocolate later when I arrive in Yemen. Hopefully it'll be soon. So yeah, there's some here that we can see. Like yes, it's access to new and hard to reach areas, especially in the context of Yemen where the ongoing conflict is going on. So they may have more access to the areas that Save the Children staff are not allowed to go in. Yeah, operational cost is efficiently cheaper compared to us, but it's debatable because yes, for Save the Children, you get international staff coming in. It's so expensive. With local organization, all of them are based there, so they're actually a lot cheaper. You don't need to bring anybody from outside, right? And when they are finally ready to actually managing the responses and leading the responses can actually be a lot cheaper than actually getting international staff from Save the Children. Yeah, understand local context, good relationship with affected communities and the government for a longer responses. They may have been there already before Save the Children even exists in that area. Yeah. And then during the first emergency situation, in example, the typhoon that we're sort of expecting to come in Yemen, these people would be the first people on the ground because they are in the area. That this is some of the reason why we are strongly suggest to operate closely with local organizations in anywhere we're going. Yeah. So I don't want to ask more questions, but I'm just going to have this shared with you about the benefit of working with local organizations, a national organization. There's also a specific requests from funding from donors these days to actually require Save the Children to work with local and national partners and mention those partners in the proposals to ensure the sustainability of the programming, to ensure they are transferring knowledge from Save the Children staff to the local and national organizations, to ensure that we are targeting the right beneficiaries, the right affected population. So there are also a lot of this pressure coming from the donor side. Recently, Save the Children Norway just got the grant from NORAD, it's a Norwegian aid organization from the government, for a longer term projects in some of the countries that Save the Children Norway are managing. And there's a specific column mentioning about civil society and how the Save the Children supporting civil societies. So this is what we need to start looking at as part of our emergency preparedness plan, to start putting tables or database of who are the local organizations around these areas in the field locations, what are their expertise, who are they partnering at the moment, what are the grants they are managing, and what projects they are currently managing, and do we actually have potential relationship in the future with them. I encourage all the field office to start mapping this as part of our stakeholder mapping. So in case of there's a need for new for a new partnership, there's a need for a new program, we can quickly identify which partners will be better fit for this program. Yeah. So moving on. So I would like to ask everyone here, what are the risks that we will face by working with partners? Can I hear one or two persons speak up?
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
This is Abu Bakr from Tai's office, Tai's
Yes.
field manager.
Yes. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, me too. I was just looking at the positive sides of having partnership with local
Yeah.
NGOs,
Mm-hmm.
and now I was going to ask this question, but it's there now. I
Okay.
mean, there are a lot of challenges
Yeah.
and risks when dealing with partners, especially in terms of guaranteeing the quality. This is number one, and number two is the regular or continuous monitoring for their implementation, and also because as SCIM, and I'm not sure if we have the enough experience to monitor the financial, the logistical, the program side of the partners. So we don't have an internal control or the required tools in order to guarantee that we are avoiding any risks, especially the fraud, especially the security, which is also reflect SCI.
Yes, thank you so much for that. Anybody else want to share what they think of the risk and challenges working with partners?
Yes, I'm summarizing here the answers from my colleagues.
Mm-hmm.
They said maybe they have difficulties in budget and financing planning,
Mm-hmm.
financial planning and financial management.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, they delay in the implementation. Thirdly, partiality. They are not neutral to some of the local NGOs. They are not neutral.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so those are some of the challenges that related to the project management, right? Anybody else want to share other challenges and risk outside from the project management?
Yes, please. Sometimes we do have like a political challenges when we select like a partner and he have no acceptance with the authorities or government, or he's like one of the side of the conflict. So sometimes in the beginning it wasn't, but then after a while it turned out that it's one of the challenges with the local authorities of Namshad.
That's great. Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to also remind everyone that as humanitarian organization, Save the Children, local partners, we also have to understand about humanitarian principles. Yeah. Often partners have the risk of that because they're understanding who they will be targeting for giving their support. So they're supposed to be independent, they're supposed to be non-discrimination, they're supposed to be what is it? Yeah. I can't remember. Anybody can help me? Humanitarian principles. Okay. Impartiality.
You mean about the principles, Wawan?
Yeah. Impartiality, independence, and
Yeah, value-driven and empowering relationship, transparency and accountability, mutual benefits and complementary.
that's partnership. That's partners' principles. But what about humanitarian principles?
No, it's 9 standards. I don't know.
That's
You
called
have presented
humanitarian.
last webinar.
Yes, that's called humanitarian standard. But humanitarian principle is something to do with impartiality, independence, and one more. I don't remember. Maybe we will have to do it as a homework. Okay, continue. So
Okay.
yes, so there's a lot of organizations that don't understand that, and that's why Save the Children have the role to make sure the partners that we're working with have that understanding that when we are providing support, we have to be independent, we have to be non-political, we have to be impartial, yeah. So we provide support to whoever needs, yeah. In terms of the challenges working with partners, project management wise, do you have any examples how to manage that situation? In example, if the partners are not are late in submitting reports, or we don't have good monitoring system with the partners. How do we do that? How do we manage that? Any solution?
Actually, we have to make a capacity. We have to build the capacities for the partners themselves in terms of monitoring and evaluation. This is the first step, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, and if you cannot make frequent visit to the partner site, we may include some kind of remotely management partnerships standards, or I don't know, way of working.
Yeah, just to share with you all, before Yemen, I was in Cox's Bazar supporting the Save the Children International for partnership as well. And then what we're doing in Cox's Bazar is basically working together with partners. So we are not working through partners, we're working with partners. So we agreed on mechanism such as regular meetings. We agreed on mechanism on sharing sharing resources. So some of the partners, when they operate, they can actually use Save the Children base or cars, and the other way around. So we can also work in their offices. So this collaboration, this ways of working has been agreed to smoother the ways of working there. And I think this is a good modality that we can actually replicate in many places. In a way, it makes us feel that we are working together. We are agreed on certain ways of working. Yeah. Imagine partners as one of your colleagues. Imagine partners as one of your staff, even. So in Save the Children, there is also when you have your team, you have a regular meeting. You have one-on-one meeting with your one-on-one team member. You have reports that your team need to submit to you. You also need to provide them with guidance and also with deadlines. So these ways of working are something that you can explore working with partners, just to make sure that you agreed on this in the beginning. This is like a pre-agreement that if you're working with us, this is how we're going to deliver. This is what we're going to deliver, and this is our monitoring system. Let's agree on how to monitor that and come back with solutions when there are some issues. Yeah?
Okay. Can I interrupt you for a
Yeah,
while,
sure.
Marwan?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, thank you. I want to share our experience working with the partners here in Yemen.
Yeah.
As actually they are they are submitting their reports on monthly basis.
Yeah.
And also they are sharing their indicators of performance tracking table IPTT with us. Based on their proposal and based on their logical framework we did in their proposals. Also make frequent visit to each partner weekly, and about the field side that Save the Children staff cannot go. They send us the event reports, even for the events we are participating as Save the Children. They send us an event reports filled with we have certain event reports that contains of photos, budget for that event, technical reporting and outcomes of that event. Also, what else we have? That's it, I think.
That's great, actually.
That's how we work with the partners now.
Yes, that's actually a really good example of how to work with partners. With this situation, the partner's actually strong. That's why you have them to be able to do a lot of things, right? But
yes,
imagine if your partners is actually still quite weak and you need to support them more, meaning that there still need to be a lot of day-to-day basis coaching, mentoring, or even just a visit to ask, are you okay? Can I help you? You know, and this is something that we need to think about as our next step is how to build more stronger team with partners as part of our team. Just a question of like, are you okay? Are you overstretched at the moment? So they can trust you back and they can be honest with you, saying that I'm actually overstretched. Can we postpone these deliverables to 1 more week? When they're able to communicate with you like that, the trust is there. The team feeling is there. So it's no longer partners are not delivering, but it's more like partners and Save the Children are not delivering, and how can we work better together? Yeah. So I really encourage to everyone to, instead of seeing partners as a outside entity of your team, start looking at them as part of your team. So if they are not performing, there's something is questioned about how you work as a team.
No, I guess, can I add some things here?
Sure.
Sure, yeah. Actually, we are trying also to treat our partners like our program staff with us here. When we conduct the award review meeting, we did the kickoff meeting with them. We did the award review meeting with them, and actually, sure, with the reporting coming every month, and also we treat them like we treat our program. We visit for them and see where they are with the details implementation plan, where they are with the procurement plan, where they are with when they spend what are these challenges, and we treat them like we treat our program. It's the same award.
It's so good to hear that. It's really good to hear that. Yes,
and presenting the capacity building, and also involved with this with their manuals to upgrade their manuals to be compared with the international NGOs, so they can work with their manual with our regulations, our DORA requirements or regulations.
Yeah, great.
Yes, this is in terms of compliance, I think.
Yeah, true. It's very important. Yeah, it's very important to start seeing partners as our team. And the other thing that is very important is actually to support partners to access different funding from different organizations. That's also our responsibilities. It's part of their sustainability, and then it's part of their existence of an organization, because we don't want to create mini Save the Children that when Save the Children finally have to go because of some issues or because of the project finished, these partners died. We don't want that to happen. So we would like to encourage more and more to network with other organizations, network with other donors, and we need to, as many as we can, put it in the document that the program we're delivering are actually program that we work together with partners, not only Save the Children. So when we do presentation about the project in EAP, in example, we don't say Save the Children achieve this much of people, blah, 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 blah. We say Save the Children and partners achieve this, this, this. Who are our partners? This, this, this. So it's time for us to acknowledging more and more the work that we're doing with partners. It's part of building portfolio of the partners, so they be able to actually access different funding from different organization. Yeah. So yeah, these are some of the risks that we discussed earlier, and we also already discussed about how to manage the risk, really. So let me just introduce you all to another presentation, yeah, and closely working of how we are actually start partnership. Let me open the window. Yeah. So, can everyone see my screen at the moment? Yeah. You can see that?
Okay, yes.
Great. Okay, so the reason why I say it as a travel guide, because I would like to see this as a journey, working with partners, especially in humanitarian responses, as our journey together. Yeah. So this model is actually is a project cycle management specifically in humanitarian crisis, and how can we work with partners in all of this stops, all of this cycle. Yeah. So I'll move on to this. So last week, I mentioned about this, the Partnership Management Humanitarian Response Toolkit. I hope some of you already able to access it. Can I hear a feedback about it? If anyone have seen it, have seen the document? No? Nobody see it yet?
Yes, we saw it, but not really go through it.
Okay. Why? Can I ask why? Not just tell me. I just want to know why. Is it because too big? Is it because? What's the feedback about the document?
So roughly, we go through, or some of our colleagues, they say, we go through, but not in details.
Okay. Yeah, I do understand. It's a very big document with so many tools. But as how I explained last week, that tools are there to support the need. Yeah. So you need to understand what you need first to be able to see which tools that will fit to answer your need. That's why that document is so big, because it tries to answer a lot of needs from a lot of people from different countries, different country program, and different contexts, either development or humanitarian. But I do encourage you all to still go through it and see if it works for you, if it helps you somehow. Yeah. So with that document, it will give you briefing on what do we mean by partnership project cycle management? How do we involve partners since the beginning? Who are our partners? Yeah, and then we can explore that to get the answer from that document. But we're not going to do it here. We're going to just skip it through. So to work with partners, you need to familiarize yourself with the Save the Children approach to partners. I'm sure some of you already read the documents of partnership principles, and then we already discussed about module A earlier, very brief. And then specifically, if you go to the partnership management toolkits, the partnership management humanitarian response toolkits, go to page 17 until 20, and you can go through like what is the partners, who are the partners, how can we work with partners, and the partnership approach. Yeah, I'm just gonna skip this through. There's also a discussion about do we need to work with partners in all of responses? How do we make the judgment if this is a better response with partners or this is a direct implementation? What are the risks? How do we prepare the partnership as part of the preparedness and planning before we go to emergency response, before we go to humanitarian response? Yeah. There's also discussion about partnership focal point. There's also discussion about RACI document, who is responsible, who's accountable, who's consulted, and who's informed for all the decision-making process with partners in the country office. That also can be seen in that document. Yeah. So how do we get started? Yeah. So in Yemen program, few months ago, there's a expression of interest, and during that time, there's a lot of civil society organization express their interest to work together with Save the Children, and that will be very good for us to put them in database. If we need new partners, we know who to contact. If we want to support capacity strengthening for our current partners, we can involve the rest of the partners into that training session or mentoring session to make sure there are equal opportunities for all the CSOs, all the NGOs to access the capacity strengthening activities that Save the Children are doing, as Save the Children alone, or Save the Children working with other consortium, international organization, or clusters to build capacity of civil society organization, and this organization can be part of it as well. Yeah. So I know that there is a current revision for emergency preparedness plans. I think a lady called Julie was the one who's developing it or drafting it, I think. I've already gave my comment to make sure there are lists of potential partners and lists of current partners that we are working with to be embedded into the preparedness plan. So in case of any need, we can access that easily. There should also be partnership strategy. I think it was developed by Faisal. I need to see again the document. And there's also need a ways of working with partners. A RACI needs to be developed, and I'm working on it at the moment. A RACI document to make sure that everybody understand who's doing what in where, especially with the different field offices. This is when I need to start appoint getting agreement from the field managers who are the appointed person for the partnership focal point in each offices. So I can work closely with them to develop a document called RACI, basically ways of working, who's doing what, who's responsible to do what, in which division. Yeah. So key partnership action, stakeholder mapping. Can anybody explain to me why is it important to do stakeholder mapping? No answer?
You mean about stakeholders mapping or about partners mapping?
Stakeholders mapping.
I don't know.
Lately, we did like a mapping intervention in Hajjah.
Yeah.
All the stakeholders. Yes, we did like a mapping workshop for 3 days. We did the Lead Save the Children in Hajjah, and we have all the stakeholders from all sectors, and we did like one tool which unified for all the projects from all sectors. And now, if you want to know whatever make intervention which any government or subject, you can know according to this tool. As well as the partners were coming with the local authorities and the stakeholders. Is that what you mean?
Yes, actually, yes. So when we do stakeholder mappings, we're actually seeing who are doing what in where. That's the basic stakeholder mapping. So we see the capacity of each organization, we see the capacity of the either international organization or national organizations, CSOs, NGOs. We see their capacity and put them into an analysis on what are they be best fit at. Yeah, this is when we're trying to classify which organizations are good to be our partners in terms of implementing partners, which organizations are good or better fit as our strategic partners, or which organization are actually better fit as just our network or alliance. Yeah. So during this mapping, in example, maybe in Sana there is lots of organizations. We list them all. We see their capacity. We see their strength. We see who their partners now, and we see their vision, their mission, what they're focused on in the future. Yeah, and what their relationship with the other organizations. And then we can with that judgment, we can classify them into this type of partnership: implementing partners, strategic partners, and network and alliances. Yeah. So when we then decide into, okay, so this is the partners that we think we can work together as implementing partners, then we conduct the vetting, partnership assessment. That's when we use the tools that we're going to discuss about later. And then we put them into the emergency partners and planning. Yeah. So we list all of the partners, we list their capacity, we list their potential relationship with us as either implementing partners, strategic partners, or networking into the EPP document, emergency preparedness and planning document. We then make an agreement with the implementing partners as a framework agreement to make sure that it's a formal binding that during the emergency we will work with you. There's no money involved in that yet. It's just a gentleman, just a framework agreement to discuss that during the emergency we will work with you for this area, specifically for this responses with this technical expertise. We will provide you with the support for this during the preparedness plan. We will provide trainings, we will provide the funding for assessment, and many other things. That can be actually placed into the framework agreement. Yeah. So number 5, 6, 7, 8, those are actually can be part of the emergency preparedness planning. So we put the capacity strengthening, we put the child safeguarding training for partners because it's very important. We involve partners into the proposal writings or project summary writings. So we decide on what we should do together best. Yeah. So I will share you this this presentation later, but you can actually all of these tools you can actually just access it by click it, and we have them all in SharePoint. Yeah. So this will help you one by one to understand how do I do this, how do I do that. We have all the tools. But again, don't get overwhelmed with so many tools we have. They are there just to help you. If you can make your own that will work for yourself, it's better. Why not? As long as you make sure that this is communicated to the PDQ, the awards, that this is what you're doing. Yeah? Just to sample, when I click this, this will quickly go to, can you see my screen? Probably not. I need to change it.
This appeared.
It's appeared? Okay.
It's coming.
Okay, great. So that's how it looks like. So you just basically click the presentation and you got it. And you got the tools that will help you. So that's the first step. It's a briefing and a pre-agreement, yeah. And this is how they look like, the assessment tools that we will discuss again a little bit later. You can access it. But remember, this is the key point. I think everyone needs to remember that the selection process needs to be transparent. Yeah. In the context of emergencies, when everything is so rapidly happening, it doesn't mean have to be fair all the time, but at least in the first few months, you have to communicate this clearly to everyone in the organization that this is what you're doing. You have to communicate to the partners to make sure they're clear with the expectations as well. So making sure there's not going to be any misunderstanding. Yeah. And in the very rapid situation, we don't have the luxury of time to actually make the expression of interest. Maybe there's no resources for that. Maybe there's no time for that. But what we can do, we just call all these organizations to, if you're interested to work with us, let me know, submit the proposals, and let's discuss. It can be as easy as that. Yeah. And then this is when you need to communicate this closely with the awards team, with the partnership team, with PDQ and Ops. Yeah, make sure all this communication, you involve Muhammad Al-Shama, you involve Jason Lee about, okay, we don't have time for do the EOI, expression of interest, but at the moment we need new partners. And the current partners that we're working with are not able to work with us. That's why we need new partners. We're going to invite partners to send out their proposals, and we're working together with them. I hope you get me green light for that. That's it. That's all you need to ask, and then you can start doing it the other ones. Yeah. So this is a categorization. For Yemen, it's not that important anymore because we already categorized Yemen into category 1 at the moment. But yes, I think it's still important that the team leader or deputy team leader still need to assign focal points. In this case, field offices, I think need to assign focal point for each office. Yeah, I will need to discuss it with each field managers to actually allocate one person per office to be the focal point for partnership. Yeah. And activating the partners' standby agreement, that will be very important to say that this is now an active agreement. We are going to work in this sector. We're going to work with you in these locations. So this can be start moving on. Yeah. Again, there's other tools you can access. There's a terms of reference already there. I will share this with everyone. So you can go through it one by one. Remember, there's no such thing as perfect partners, but we need to always realize that the partnership has to be very healthy. This is why I say, do check on your partners. Are they okay? Are they not okay? What can you support as an organization? What can you support as a person? Yeah. During the first phase of emergency, everyone's panicking, everyone's rushing, no time. A lot of pressure, so it's good to actually do health check once, twice, or 3 times in a month, just to make sure that we can provide supports needed. Yeah? Clear roles and responsibilities. This is when RACI actually comes in. So there need to be an agreed ways of working in the office, in the field office, in the national office, in partners office. Who are the contact for doing what? Who are the finance person? Who are the award person? This has to be communicated closely with partners. Partners have to understand how the decisions is made in Save the Children, and how this going to affect the ways we are working with partners. Yeah. Again, tools to support, you can access that. But remember, to make it inclusive, planning system, make sure when you do planning on project, planning on budget, you work with them, you work with the partners. You get the information from them. And if you have more information, give it to them. So it's all about sharing resources, sharing information with them. Yeah? Joint programming. This is the steps, 1, 2, 3, 4. But I think since this actually already being conducted in Yemen, it's not. You just have to revisit it again, see if this is still relevant or not. Yeah. Again, tools to support, you can access it. Yeah.
I have one question here.
Yes.
So the expression of interest,
Yeah.
which was published, and so when we look to the list, it is not enough.
It's not enough,
And
yes.
we raised that. Yes, we raised that many times to
Yeah.
the central office.
Yeah.
But till now, we didn't receive any answer
Yeah.
whether we can expand this
Yes.
list to new partners. At the moment, we cannot go in the analysis or the assessment of partners
Yeah.
only based on the list which we have.
Yes. Good question. What I can suggest you, you make your own expression of interest in your own way. In this case, invite the partners that you think are strong, but were not able to join the last expression of interest, to send send an email of interest to you. Yeah, to your field office. Just say that I'm interested to be your partners. Can we discuss about being partners? Yeah, and then after that, you can actually just collect their information using the partnership assessment tools, and you can put them to your database.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think this is fair.
Yeah. Remember, when you do this, make sure you communicate to the SMT that this is what you're doing. And as a partnership advisor for the program in Yemen program, I say go for it, because this will save a lot of time and resources. And then it will definitely save your programming, because you can get stronger partners for this. Yeah. So I recommend you to invite partners, all these organizations that you think strong but were not able to join the expression of interest, to send their expression of interest to you, and you can share that with me. I'll be happy to look through them, and then we can discuss about how to conduct the partnership assessment with them, and making sure they are part of our list. Yeah. You can either send the invitation to the partners directly if you know their contacts, or you can use the clusters to actually just expand the information to the other CSOs or organizations around that would be interested to send the express of interest. Remember, this has to be transparent. Yeah. So, and this has to be an equal opportunity for everyone as well. So I recommend you to use these channels. Use your Facebook, the Facebook for Yemen program, to spread out the news for organizations that are interested to be partners. Do send the expression of interest. Well, it's not a formal expression of interest, but do send an email of an interest, and we will follow that up. Yeah, I hope that's clear.
Sorry, Wawan, but
Yes.
can this expression of interest go through clusters?
Yeah, you can send. You can ask clusters to actually, if they have CSOs or NGOs that are interested to be partners with the children, they can send email to us. Yeah, this is actually a channel
I
we
think,
can use.
yeah, I think it's the best channel, as all the working partners are within the clusters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But this is the importance of use the channels that we know best to actually accessing different CSO and NGOs. And after that, we will go through the partner assessment. We go through the vetting process. So we will go through all of them again. It's fine, totally fine. But at least we give more opportunity for more organizations to apply for being partners with Save the Children. Yeah. Okay, so this is the assessment tools again and again. We keep talking about assessment tools, but I will introduce again assessment tools at the end of this session. Just a quick refresher because of the one that we did last week was also partnership assessment tools. Yeah. We're talking about inclusive programming to make sure partners participating actively in programming. So this will not be top down, but this will be morely bottoms up approach, bringing the problems and then discussing the problems and then finding solutions together, so the children and partners. Yeah. Joint implementation monitoring partners. In the early stage, we discuss it together with them, how we're going to monitor it together, how to implement this, what will be the challenge, how can we overcome the challenge together, and what's our agreement on communicating this regularly with partners. Yeah. Kick-off meetings with partners. Yes. Some of you mentioned it earlier. What does this mean? How can we discuss about more than just deliverables, but how to strengthen each other's capacity, partners' capacity, as much as Save the Children capacity. Yeah, especially now there are more and more pressure to work with organizations that are focusing on disability inclusion or women organization. And maybe as Save the Children, we don't have that expertise, but this is when we're actually trying to get more support from our partners. So we work with them, we learn from them. Yeah, this is when we see the two ways capacity strengthening from partners to Save the Children and Save the Children to partners. We also do relationship check-in or check-up. This is like in a team, like I mentioned earlier, like working in a team. You need to know if your team is healthy. You need to know if there are challenges that your teams are facing at the moment, and how can we together able to solve the challenges. In a lot of cases, in my experience, the challenges that partners are facing is related to the money transfer that we are supposed to be provided to partners, and it's always late. And then when the transfer is late, partners are not able to deliver the project or the activities on time. At the same time, we request them to provide report as the deadline. So we're not being fair here. We give them money late, and we're expecting them to provide report on time. So we need to discuss about, well, when the money is late, then we need to also change or amend the deadlines based on how late the money transfer is, right? So this is when we need to actually do the healthy checkup all the time, asking them, are you okay? Anything to support? Have you received the money? Do you need to extend the deadlines and stuff? Yeah?
Yes, this is one of the biggest challenges we have when you
Yes.
the children.
I know. This happened to many countries I've been. When I was still working with my previous organization, Oxfam, it was also the same. It's the delay of transferring, and then after that, it's the delay of implementing and the delay of reporting. But we cannot say that this is purely partners' responsibilities, because we're also responsible for this delay. But then we need to look at why it's delayed. Maybe because the procedure takes longer time. But then when it's delayed, what's the implication? How can we make sure the partners are able to implement? How can we make sure that they will be we can extend the reporting period for them? Yeah. Again, this has to be transparent. Everybody has to be in the loop. Make sure that when you're changing the deadlines, partners are aware of that. Award team in Save the Children are aware of that. So this is an agreement together. Yeah. So there are tools again here that I can share again. So do take your time to look at these tools later and explore. I mean, you don't need to be masters of the tool, but at least you know if you need something, you can access the tool. Yeah. So this is just like another phase that you can update stakeholder mapping analysis now and then. So after 6 months, if If you think the mapping is changing, the capacity of the organization is changing, you can do another stakeholder mapping. You can do another analysis of the stakeholder. You can reshape again who will be the partners that perfectly fit for strategic partnership. You can reshape again if they are actually now a good partner for implementing partners. So this can be done regularly, once a year, once every 6 months. Depends. Yep, tools again. Yeah, so capacity strengthening support. Usually what we're doing is focusing only on the technical. Like in example, when we're working with livelihood, we provide training on cash transfer program. We provide training on the food security in livelihood. Working with child protection programming, we're talking about how to deliver a child right-based programming. Yeah, but we often forget about partner sustainability. So we're talking about compliance, how to strengthen the partner capacity and compliance. I think is equally as important as the technical aspect, especially on proposal writings, especially on accessing funding. You really need to put emphasizing on this as well and make sure that partners understand that all this process of building a proposal that we're doing with partners is actually can be considered as capacity strengthening activities. It's actually can be considered as on-job training for their proposal writer or their project coordinator. Because when we build the proposal together, they will understand what are important to be put in the proposals. What are the strategy that we put in our proposal that will be very interesting for donors? What are the key messages? How to polish the words? How to work in coordination and accessing potential funding? Yeah. Yeah. So I'd like to remind that there are challenges also working with partners, and if partners are not able to deliver and they are breaching some of the agreement that actually very essential, maybe it's related to child rights, child safeguarding issues, then we have to stop working with them, or maybe because they are conducted fraud, we need to stop working with them. But then we need to ask again about ourselves. If we stop working with these partners, do we have capacity to work in direct response, or do you want to look for new partners? Yeah. So this is an assessment for organization again before we decided to work direct operation or we work with partners. I hope that's clear though. Is there any question about that? Yeah. Because I just want to emphasize that yes, working with partners is important, but when there are issues with partners, that very very important issues regarding to fraud, regarding to terrorism, regarding to child safeguarding issues, then when we have to stop working with them, we stop working with them. Yeah, there are limits. Yeah.
I have one question or comment.
Yeah.
When we are doing the assessment of partners, so sure we will find very strong partners.
Yeah.
And we will have the middle, and we will find very weak. So, but it depends, I think, on the project.
Yeah.
For partnership, we can select the suitable, not the highest one or the biggest one.
Yeah.
If they are far away from the communities, and so it's even in the assessment, if there are some partners they are still weak in some aspects, so this will be part of the capacity building of the partners.
Yes.
To be considered is the assessment not only to select the partners but also to see the areas for development. for capacity building of the partners. My view is not to select the most strong partners that we cannot add any value in their capacities, but also to expand that we select middle partners that we can build their capacities, and they will be able, and they are more encouraged than the strong ones.
Yes, it's a very important. This is why I think it's important for us to practice the stakeholder mapping, because here when you see which partners will be suitable, better fit for being implementing partners, or which partners is better fit for being strategic partners. Yeah, and it's also good for us as an organization to understand what resources do we actually have to support the partners. So this is a question of which partners you prefer. You prefer to work with stronger partners, and they're big, they have a lot of stuff, they have a lot of funding. At the same time, they also have risk because of the lot of funding. They may be overstretched. They may not be able to see us as a priority because they see the bigger funding coming from WHO or the bigger funding from UNFPA. So they see Save the Children as a smaller organization, smaller donors, smaller partners, so they don't see us as priority. That can happen. But then the question is like, will they be more strategic to work with us as implementing partners, or can we actually work with them as strategic partners? Because strategic partners is when we think about further, when we talk about how to influence the goal of the project, yeah? How to work with them to influence the changes we want to see in the community, in the society, in the organization, big like clusters or international organizations. That's when we see strategic partnership. Maybe working with smaller organizations will be more suitable for us because then we have more added value for them. They can also prioritizing the work that we are planning with them to implement on the ground. So this is also based on like the judgment, and the judgment, there's no black and white here. It's very debatable. It's very colorful, I would say. So it's good to actually have this discussion a lot before you go to partners, before you go for decided we were working with this partners, but make sure you identify the partner's capacity, the partner's network, the partner's challenges, and you also mapping out our capacities to support the partners, our challenges to working with partners, and then we will see there's an interlink. When you see a diagram, there's a shared point that we can do together. And that's when we're working with these partners. We choose these partners because of this. Yeah? But there's no black and white for that. Okay, so now we have 15 more minutes just to discuss quickly about the partnership assessment tools again, because I promise we will need to do this quickly. Let me just open it up. But if there's any question, do ask me a question now. I'm happy to answer.
Sorry, Wawan,
Yes.
it could be repeated the question, but for the stakeholders mapping, I mean, like, how do we collect that data for the stakeholders, and I don't know what's the procedures we're taking to make such a mapping.
So there's a tool that can help you out. I will send it together with the presentation later. But
please.
The easiest way to do it is actually just like any other basic mapping of organizations. So 4W or 5W, who's doing what in where? Yeah. So who's doing what in your area? Which organization? What do they do? What are their capacity? How big is their project? That's just a simple understanding about who they are. And that's when you can see that, okay, so this partners, so this CSO is big, but then do they still have capacity to actually deliver more with us if you're working with them? If not, will they be more suitable to be our strategic partners? So we can actually work with them in a cluster to speak or to voice up the voice from children of what do they need. So this is the practice we need to do over and over. That's why I said like you can do it once every 6 months or once every year to revise again the strategy, what is it? The stakeholder mapping. Okay, so thank you. Now I'm back again to introduce the partnership assessment tools. We discussed it earlier already. So who are, just a quick question. Who are in this meeting that did not attend the training from last week? Can I get someone to tell me? How many of us? So I will know how deep we'll discuss about this. Partnership assessment tools meeting last week.
So if all the participants have attended the last session.
Sorry, again, can you repeat?
All the participants here, they have already attended the last session.
Oh, perfect. Last week, yeah. So I think we don't need to discuss that much anymore, unless there is a question.
In ENAB, I don't know. Only ENAB, I'm talking about it.
Yeah, because I don't see anybody else responding to that. Unless there's a specific question then on the partnership assessment tools. I have received an email last night about a question, but I will answer that and share it again with everyone, but not in this call. Yeah? It was Gamdan who sent me an email last night. Anyway, so since I think everyone already either attend the last week training or listen to the recording that I shared, so maybe we just dig deep into the conversation we have today. Any other question for the session we have today? Any question at all? Anybody? I see Abdullah is typing. Nope, he's not typing. Anybody? Okay, so there's no questions. Since there's no questions, then I think that's it. Thank you so much for your time. I do still encourage everyone to send me questions so I can put them into the Q&A sheet and share it with everyone. So if you have any questions, maybe not now, maybe later, when you have questions, send me email and I will answer this Wednesday and share it with everyone. Thank you so much for your participation, and then we'll talk again soon. Yeah?
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.